Now that you've got some tools for managing and working smarter with your Windows, let's look at how to work smarter with files and folders, which mostly means setting up a folder structure that makes sense to you. So you can find your folders and files and stuff when you need them. There's no right way, and there's no great way to organize folders, but there is a wrong way. Saving folders anywhere on your boot disk except in your home folder is a no-no. The exceptions to this rule, or the exception of this rule, is external storage. If you have an external hard disk, you can safely store any or all of your personal files on it. But if you only have one disk, like most people, and it's the boot disk, all of your personal files need to be inside your home folder for a bunch of reasons I'm not going to even get into now. Just trust me, you need to do that. The debate over how to organize your files, however, or whether to organize them at all, has been going on since time immemorial, or at least since I got my first Mac in 1984. When you install Mac OS, Apple provides a handful of folders in a brand new stock home folder to get you started. Now, those are the documents, the downloads, the desktop, movies, music, pictures, and public, to name a few, I think, or to name them all, maybe. But what should go in those folders? Some of them have a little stuff in them, like your library folder has stuff in it. But do you need to store all of your songs in the music folder? If you take photos and don't use the Photos app, do you need to put them in the Pictures folder? And why do items that appear on the desktop also appear in that folder called Desktop? These and other questions will be answered. And the answers are, ready? Okay, first, keep all of your files anywhere you like, as long as it's somewhere inside your home folder or on an external disk. By the way, the iTunes and Photos apps, they store their databases in the music and pictures folders respectively. And that's by default, but you can choose to store them anywhere, on an external drive like I do, if you want. It's up to you. What's important, though, is that your storage scheme makes sense to you. And frankly, if you don't create and save a lot of files, you might be best off just putting everything you create in the Documents folder and being done with it. That may be the fastest and easiest way for you to find your files. But if you create a lot of files, what matters is that you organize the stuff in a way that makes sense to you, that's easy for you to find what you're looking for when you need it. So here are some organizational schemes I've heard about or used myself to organize files. 1. Store everything in the Documents folder with no subfolders at all. Number 2. Store everything in the Documents folder, but create subfolders as categories need them. Number 3. Everything is in user-created folders somewhere else in your home folder, maybe not in your Documents folder. Here's another one. Everything is on an external or solid-state disk, all of your data. Here's another one. Everything on the desktop or in folders on the desktop. I don't like that one. I think it slows stuff down, but some people like it. And then everything in the home folder except music, videos, and photos, which are on an external hard or solid-state disk because they take up so much space. And that's what I do. And then finally, no organization whatsoever, but making sure that any file or folder you save lives inside the home folder, your home folder. So no organization here's the last one. No organization whatsoever with files and folders inside and outside of your home folder and on external disks. And that's definitely not recommended, but some people do that. For a lot of reasons, it's better if you don't. Now, other than that, it doesn't really matter which method you use, or even if you combine 2 or 3 or 4 to make a folder structure that makes sense to you. But while you're setting it up, remember that your goal is to make it easier to find your stuff. So, what I'm saying is, it's usually a bad idea to create a big empty folder structure that you intend to populate someday, because then you have lots of folders with nothing in them that you'll keep finding in searches. Instead, let your folder structure grow organically. So create a folder and use it until its contents grow unmanageable. When it gets too full, and only then, divide its contents into 2 or more subfolders, and then repeat as necessary with all folders. So until I see about 15 or 20 or 30 files in a folder, I don't feel like I need a subfolder. But when it gets to 20, 30, 40 files, or 50 or 60 or anything like that, I start thinking, gee, it would be a lot easier if I subdivided these. Maybe I should subdivide by year or by client or by date or something. Anyway, if you don't save a lot of files, and many users don't, you can just stick everything in the Documents folder and be done with it. If it gets too full, you'll create a few subfolders and keep going. It's a fluid thing. But like for those of us like me with hundreds of thousands, even millions of files, it's vital to organize them in a way that makes sense, because otherwise you'll have a hard time finding what you need. Now, here's how to make all my files in the sidebar more useful. I see a lot of people ignore it because it's not useful most of the time. So no matter what, if you have few files, a lot of files, all my files is a smart folder in your sidebar that lets you quickly see every file you've created or modified today or this week or whatever. So here's how to use it well. Switch to the list view, choose View menu, List, or use the shortcut, as you learned earlier, Command 2. And then click on a column header to sort your files by that attribute. The most useful one, I find, is Date Modified. So in this example, you can see I'm sorting all my files by date modified, and the most recent files are at the top. So that's all the files that I modified today or yesterday, and I've highlighted them so you can see. But all my files makes it easy to spot all of the stuff I worked on today and yesterday and maybe even the day before. It's not great at finding those older files that you haven't modified lately. When that's the case, you're probably best off using Spotlight to search for them, especially if your folders aren't really well organized. So that's kind of why the next lesson is going to teach you about Spotlight and how to master searching with it. So let's go to lesson 5.